There we are, live.
We are live. It's imeandikwa scheduled.
I think
Yes,
it
now we
should.
are live.
We live, we live, we
Mhm.
live.
Sema, how's the week been? It's episode. We are number 52. Wonder
52,
of all
bro.
wonder.
We are moving, we are moving.
Hmm.
Episode 100 coming soon.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
So here we are.
Here we are, bro.
Hmm. You were holding a meeting before.
Yeah, I was having a quick meeting.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so, and I think it's probably good we be doing it this time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing it's probably gonna work best
Okay, no
um,
problem.
to allow me to then do other things afterwards.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
so. So,
Mm.
in other news, we have, if you're a bit of a psychopath, would say good news. The Kenya shilling is now trading at 160 to the US dollar.
I thought it had already hit 160, by the way. It hit
You at one,
160
it was
all over.
161, 161.5. I don't know where
Oh,
we
yeah,
are.
already passed. It had passed the 160 mark.
Let's see.
So,
160, as of now,
mhm.
as of today, we are at 162.65. Hallelujah. Tumsifu Yesu Kristo.
The
And this,
200
this, is,
mark is
this is what this is what we were talking with my electrical guy on the project, because initially we were talking of accumulating money, then you can.
just 1 minute. I don't know if it's picking up some noises on this side. There's
You're not
someone
pick
here.
it's clear.
It's clear, eh?
Yeah, there's no
Let me also,
background.
no background noise, eh?
No.
Okay, but just 1 minute.
Okay, okay.
Good. Let's get back to it.
As I was saying, we
Mhm.
were. Oh, this is TK Worldwide Net. Karibu
Okay,
sana,
start.
welcome. So, oh, it's Tato. Hey, hey, hey. So, we were having discussions about what do I call it? Accumulating money so that we can start the project, we can restart the project at full blast. So, but
Mhm.
then again, we said,
Yes,
look at the way the dollar is trending.
yes.
By the time we were having these discussions, we were running at about
Was it 150?
153. We
150
were
what?
at 153.
153. Man.
Yeah, at that time we were talking. So we said, listen, we better operate by whatever little money you have, you make a step forward. Because if you say that you're going to sort of be accumulating money, then you go forward. By the time you sort of accumulate whatever you're accumulating, things would have changed on the exchange rate. So here we are at 162. That means whatever money you would have had, uh, part of it would have become useless. The value would have taken a hit. So for
Mhm.
anyone who's thinking of doing a project and you are in this part of the world that is extremely dollar reliant, don't make a
Mhm.
mistake of saying that you're putting aside your savings. Then then when you have attained a certain uh, target, you'll go full blast. My friend, you will get to that target, and the
Yeah.
target has moved ahead.
Yeah, I was even listening to another. There was another show that was looking at. It was a webinar that was bringing key voices in the tech sector,
Mm,
and they were talking about the state of tech across
mm,
Africa, on various elements. And one of the key things that came out is a lot of companies in Africa are relying on the cloud providers. The likes of AWS from Amazon, the likes of
Google.
Azure from Microsoft, and that dollar amount has literally increased their expenses by 40%. So imagine your operating cost going up by almost close to 50%. So that's
But see,
amazing.
this one, on that point,
Mhm.
we are the ones at fault. What big thing is Amazon Web Services giving apart from server storage?
No, they do
How
give quite a
many?
bit of. They do
No,
those
okay.
cloud providers provide
I
another.
mean, what we are getting from them is mainly
Mhm.
server space. There's nothing
Yes, that's the main.
like extraordinary, some major technical razzmatazz. It is server space. This money that is being used to buy these to be these humongous malls can set up a very huge data center for Eastern Central Africa. So here, that is our fault. That is our fault. We can't see if it was something really, some technological razzmatazz that I don't know, it is maybe a reserve of the military and all, then you can say, okay, sir. But mere storage space and a few pedestrian softwares here and there, you are ready to build a very huge mall with escalators and those funny fountains and weird shit. Then we have panda as you know, as normal someone says, you have to admit if your baby is ugly. You
No,
shit
I
on
agree. You're right on the money. And actually, the guy ended up qualifying his statement to that and said what has happened is now people have realized, hey, we actually have some local data centers. And I guess
well,
this is a call to the opportunity that exists for for a lot of these companies that have been relying on foreign providers, the Amazons and the Microsoft. And I actually say, just to add on to your point, it is actually exceedingly important. Actually, and actually, the Kenyan government, signed a contract with Microsoft Azure, and I don't know how that argues with regards to data sovereignty, because you're having data, and this is like saying putting the e-citizen platform where a huge chunk of government services are hosted, putting that entire platform on an Azure server that probably might sit in Europe. Maybe the closest it comes to sitting in Africa is the data centers that we have in down south, in Joburg and Cape Town. They could request to have it stored there, but then again, it's still sitting outside of Kenya. So I've always contended that it's a huge, huge risk that many of us are relying on softwares or services that are not hosted within Africa. I mean, just think about it. If you happen to have a business email service, it's likely to be sitting in one of these two providers, either Google Apps platform, that's the Gmail platform, or probably running on the Microsoft 365 platform. Again, that is outside of Kenya. The other lower platforms, the likes of Zohos and others, might be sitting in places like India, but then again, mostly you find those servers are also in places like US and Europe. So a huge, huge risk. So many of us are probably using these big four tech providers, either using an Apple service, and Facebook service, a Microsoft, a Google service,
and then
and others, is a big four. So it's a huge, huge risk. So he did end up qualifying and said, when a lot of these companies realizing this major dollar outlay that has to go every year or every month, depending on how they have crafted their contracts to a foreign company, and then because they are doing their conversion, they sell their products in Kenya shillings, they are getting their revenues in Kenya shillings. They have to do that conversion in dollar, so having to lose that value. So now they're realizing, oh, there's some local providers that we can rely on, and they do provide as much quality and superior service as these AWSs and the Azure. Just exactly what you've said. They probably have some proprietor-based elements now that if you think of Azure, it has now OpenAI embedded in many of its services. But then again, just what you're raising, that's an opportunity for us to now build our own LMS, large LLMS, that's large language models for AI, instead of having again to rely on foreign. So
You see,
it's a huge opportunity, and the risk that we've been sort of exposing ourselves is major. And it's good for us now to be seen as we've always contended that with the dollar going higher, what it means is we need to produce more instead of importing, because the reason why it's also having this major demand is because we are consumers. So we are importing a lot of what we use day to day. Sorry, that was a long monologue.
that's okay. We are here to conduct what you call double monologues. I do a monologue, then I hand over to you. It's a relay monologue of some sorts. So, and I think again, uh, let us also avoid making things to be larger than life. Yes, it is in the field of technology, but if you look at it critically, these are just virtual warehouses.
100%, that's
Yeah.
true.
Let us we when we talk we like banding around a lot of heavy wow technology, IT, the ICT. These are simply virtual warehouses. And it's simply a matter of importing these units from China. You say, this is the amount I want, and to avoid a lot of meaningless technical mambo jumbo, bring the unit integrated with its own cooling system, backup system, killer kit, and if possible, put it under military guard. Plug and play. Simple. Unless maybe my basic knowledge of IT is too juakali. These are simply large sized hard disks. Hmm. Hakuna kitu yoyote ya kutisha watu na lugha motomoto, sijui this what. This is simply a virtual warehouse. And if as a country we are unable to take care of our virtual warehousing requirements, it tells you that whoever is in the captaincy of the republic needs better advisors. We need better. Whoever is advising him is sending him the wrong way. How can we spend millions of? How can we spend? How can we have be affected by dollar fluctuation in the business of storage? It's not software editing, it's not software manufacture, it's not programming, simple fucking storage. So you don't this EC, not AI, not whatever storage. I think this is the basic level of ICT or IT or whatever they want to call it. Storage in your basic. I remember
No.
that
Go ahead.
really project CPU. The job is to process and store.
Yes.
Processing, I know, can be a bit of a gibberish, but storing, file, save, wake up, hiyo pia imekuwa ngumu.
No, and I like the way you've broken it down, because
Hmm.
it brings me to, I think
Because
on
IT is
another.
in storage, IT is the lowest level, si ndio? In storage ndio rock bottom.
Yes.
Imetushinda. My friend. I think you should go back to now using firewood for cooking and using donkeys and other things.
Exactly.
And landlines and using telegram and other written letters, Sandukula Post and PO Box. Let us not cheat ourselves. There's a tremendous lack of seriousness in that. And again, we keep on giving this. We are given this smoke and mirrors technology. This is storage. Click, file, save. It has defeated people. I think then let's go back to colonial times then. Turudi tu where the British were whipping us and those wakina, I don't know, wakina Tato can go back to apartheid and because yeah, apparently we really have no use for this so-called freedom of ours, this so-called sovereignty. I think it's a scam. It's a very,
And can
very
you
serious scam.
imagine some of the people who run those data centers in America, Europe? You find that they're just our very same people who got
Yeah,
educated in our very own universities. And I like the way
and
you've
some of
broken
them
them.
are remote.
Some of them are remote.
You just had a small group of people running like 5 or 6 data centers all over Europe. It's only maybe a breach in a physical aspect of the hardware is when you can send in some because when you go to those data centers, what you'll find is just armed guards.
100%.
It's
The
just a
bulk
very
of
huge tower with armed
the
guards.
bulk of the population is actually remote, be it
Yeah,
within in country and or externally. Yes,
yeah.
100%. Because now you can do. I mean, we've executed projects 100% remote. We've
Hmm.
never physically met a client, drew up the contracts, initiated the project, manage it through from start to finish, and delivered without having met in person because it's all the power of the internet.
Yeah.
And what I was about to comment was I like the way you've broken it down, and it brings me to this idea that I think Elon Musk. It's usually highly attributable to Elon Musk. The idea of the first principles, because if you break down something to the bare minimum, you realize then it's not as a complex as it's sort of. Part of this is the marketing mambo jumbo, just to
Yeah.
make it look
There's
so
very little
heavy and
aspect of technology.
justified.
This is just a glorified click file save process. Yeah. I
A
don't think you
glorified.
can. I'm not a professional in IT, but when you tell me that we are having a data center, it's a center for storing data. So we
Yes.
can't store data. There's a shortage of. I don't know. Maybe I'm the one who's crazy, but some things look
No.
too simple, and
And
we
actually,
we want this where we want to question our sovereignty.
yes.
Uh, Maybe there's
And
some underhand dealings going on that we are not aware of.
exactly. And part of it is to keep us dependent on
Yes.
these governments and the companies that are associated with them. Because when let's say I remember when I used to follow Barack Obama at, at, at the time he was a president. When he's visiting a country, part of his entourage is executives from some of the big US companies.
Yeah.
So when he's coming in with the likes of Boeing. When he's coming in with the likes of Microsoft. So as they join what they might call a partnership, and sometimes they'll put all this flowery word, for a safer world. But underneath it, that is backed by business uh, agreements. These guys have now secured a deal. They have come and told the government of Kenya, we want you to make sure all your government services are hosted in an Azure. And that will be conditional to the so-called loan or grant
Yeah.
that we'll get. And the grant in and of itself does not even equate to how much we are giving them. They are probably having enough money
And
that we
then
are paying them. You saw even you've heard of that story of the amount of donor money that the US gives us is much less than what people pay for visa interviews at the US embassy. So everyone who wants now to go to America, either on a visit or for greener pastures, of course they have to first initiate that process with
and
booking
funny
a
enough,
visa interview.
the donor money comes
Yes,
with expertise. Now,
Yes.
if you try to investigate how much those so-called experts are earning, you're simply repatriating the money back to where it came from. And now to go to the process of what I call rubbing feces on your face, that small amount that is left ends up buying SUVs and huge, humongous, ugly looking mansions in Runda and some. So it's simply a complete, it's a conundrum that it's a bit hard to understand, that you may be forced to sort of do. We normally say you cannot connect the dots forward, you connect them backwards. Maybe you
Yes.
try to investigate from 1963. We're supposed to get in what happened. Where did things get derailed?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because where we are, it's like you have entered into a house and it's matakataka kila mahali, sewage is spilled all over, flies and cockroaches dancing dombolo ya solo in the sitting room. You have to now be trying to investigate where did these cockroaches come from? Hii takataka imetoka wapi? You see, you have to now sit down and question, because you may find yourself, you may come to the stark realization that you are the one who's out of place. Those cockroaches are home. You cannot go into a dustbin and start castigating the cockroaches. They belong there. So we may be trying to question a situation that is supposed to be this way. Maybe maybe we never even regained independence.
That's so true.
We have to
But
come to the stark possibility that we never gained independence.
Mhm.
It was just some sort of a handover, what you call colonial master handover, from a Caucasian colonial master to a black-skinned motherfucker who will still be getting orders. You know those
They call
so-called multinational.
it, yes.
You know those multinational. They have a head office in America. Then you have a
Yeah,
black
yeah.
CEO, but you know that CEO. That CEO means you can't do shit. So
They are
we may be
caretaker
here.
lead. They call
You
them.
may be, maybe,
Ownership is
yeah.
not on it's on someone else.
It's on someone else. The people, somebody telling you tumetenga. Then in the evening he goes and gives a report. Oh, sasa ni hivi. Then you tell, okay, you tell the people this. He may try to negotiate. Hapana bwana, wewe si unadaiwa eh? Si SGR amjalipa, hii amjalipa. So my friend, toe the line. So we have to come to the stark realization that some of these situations we may have to tackle it as individuals, an individual with your own standards of doing things. Of course, yeah, ceremonial CEO, as Sharif Mustafa says, is just there to ride on a limousine, kupigiwa masalute, and whatnot. But when it comes to that signature is signed in a very different country. Like someone was telling me about some of these independent power producers who are running diesel generators, huge diesel. Some of those organizations are centered in Europe. There's some same motherfuckers who like touting about the environment, Euro 3, I don't know, Euro 4 emission standards, are the one running these stupid diesel engines here.
Mm.
Yeah. So you really have to understand your environment. And as in the words of your tribesman, Willie Mutunga, he once said,
Mhm.
even if you give me the presidency for free, I won't accept it. He's been there and he knows what happens there. He's well aware of, because as CJ, you are among the people with the closest proximity to that seat. So when somebody of the caliber of Willie Mutunga says he won't even accept that seat free of charge, that tells you that is a shithole. It's like you are
Yep.
given that you are given a vehicle to drive. Now, kumbe that vehicle operates under some funny AI that is somewhere else. You are just seated there just to show that you are the one driving that vehicle. So this brings back to the fact that there are situations whereby you have to set your own standards. You have to be the proverbial black sheep. You have to do things, and there'll be a lot of pushback against your way of doing things. You may run into losses because maybe there are some businesses for you to gain access to. You need to do things which are against your standards. You may have to go broke for a while. But then again, we say that the road to hell is paved with very good intentions. The road to hell is normally straight, no bumps. It is lit all the way. The road to heaven is very rocky and rough. So it's up to you to make a decision. Are you going to take that rough road where you are running an enterprise that for half of the financial year has not gained any revenue because you have refused association with some weird characters? There are people whom, when like now it's happening, this Hollywood character, this who is it called, Einstein, or who is it called, this is this called Harvey Einstein, or who, this guy,
Harvey
Cat
Weinstein,
Williams, yeah.
the guy
People have,
who was is in jail now, supposedly
yes,
for.
who, there's a list of people who are attending his parties so that to win favors and whatnot. Now look at what is happening to them. Now, when you look at people like talented comedians, I believe Cat Williams is funnier than Steve Harvey. But Cat Williams is worth only $2 million compared to Steve Harvey $200 million. So it's up to
Mm,
you as an individual. As I normally say, there's this Indian proverb that says, if your standards keep on wavering, then they're not standards, they're a costume, something you
yes,
simply put on to impress people, and you can put
yeah.
it off, you can remove it when the situation calls for it. So I think it's also a good opportunity to test the stability of your standards. If you claim that you want to walk on the right path, this is the time to test your standards. Money will be put in your account, will be tested. Like I was going through some, there was a form I was filling for, it's a venture capital form. And I was so happy. I was taking everything. I was so, hey, for the first time, I've found an organization that is really tunaingiana. Tick, tick, tick. Then final page. Wanasema you have to be member of LGBTQ. Ah, LGBTQ. So somebody told me, we fanya hivi, you just sign, go take the money and run off. I was thinking, now what if you get there that day, we have to prove that you're LGBTQ? What is going
To the time.
they'll take you higher, ingia kwa room hapo, go to this room. There's
Yeah.
LGBTQ testing officer. Drop your pants to prove the case. Sema, he is okay. So I think it's also a good opportunity. We normally say uh, your policies, your standards are tested in the hour of need. So this is an opportunity to know if you're going to
Mm,
walk the straight and narrow path, or maybe are you going to waver so that you
mhm.
next time you see Brian Ngudi Juma in a 2023 Range Rover, then you say, "Huyu jamaa,
2024.
oh, 2024 Range Rover."
Mm.
That's when you realize, the man has gone to penetration mode.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to discuss this aspect of sovereignty and independence as African nations, because as much as many of us have gained, supposedly we gained independence, we clearly economically we are not independent. We are still very much dependent on many of these foreign farms, and I think this is a great opportunity for us now to really assert that independence, if at all we have it. by, and that does not mean necessarily cutting them off, but those are quickly resources that can be developed and consumed locally. Um, it's even the reason why I say it's particularly a huge risk. Just imagine, God forbid, something happens to any of these major four companies. We've all concentrated uh, ourselves on just a few companies, while essentially, if we had the redundancy of many companies, we know even if this one fails, you can fall on another one as a backup. Even if something were to happen with the internet, that we can't access servers in Europe, in America, or in Asia, our local servers should still be able to run and provide services to the local Kenyan citizen. Just imagine if we had e-citizen sitting somewhere, and I even don't know where it actually sits. I hope it's on a local data center. If that gets cut off because of maybe a breach, maybe a fiber cut, that we can't access, we should actually, I remember there was a time, particularly when the undersea fiber cable was coming, the big talk was on, let's build local content, let's build local content, let's build local content. This is where we can now put that into action, such that when I need to email you as Brian, my email does not have to go all the way to America to come back to you. It should be resolved locally. There should be, that local exchange should be where, and then only a few times that I'm either engaging with a multinational, that then I can use the Azures and the AWSs of the world, rather than my day to day. I definitely should be using Anangani, the East Africa Data Center, that kind of a thing. So, and this is the IT part is just one segment of it. And I think we've mentioned this when we are talking of, reducing our dollar dependency, which is, boost our manufacturing such that, we are consuming our own products and the like, and only exporting what we really needed to export, what we can't find locally. So yeah. So this is a wider discussion, definitely, that needs some serious discussion and action. And for a
And
country that is 60 years old, some of this is fairly shameful to be talking about it at this
yeah,
point. We are no longer teenagers. We are now full on adults in our
and
senior years country.
on the aspect of manufacturing, now that we are so import oriented, there's a danger of there's actually a looming crisis right now. Uh, Suez can the I think Panama Canal, which handles 12% of the trade volume, has been under attack from the Houthi. The Houthi rebels were attacking ships there, so ships were getting diverted off. The other hand, Suez Canal, there's a drought there, so the water
Mhm.
levels have dropped. So water levels have dropped. That means the volume of ships is not the same. As much as nothing has erupted, but if the situation is not taken care of, is not, I don't know what they're going to do about the drought, but the aspect of those attacks at the Panama Canal, it could have an effect on prices of commodities, because if ships have to go around avoiding that canal, we have a problem. If the ships are delayed, also, we also have a problem, because the ship is a business. If it delays, on its return journey, they may have to adjust the prices. The same way our friends in the Matatu sector, they tell you during peak, they adjust the price because the vehicle is returning empty. So we
Mm.
could have such a situation in the could affect mostly countries which are extremely import. Of course, everyone will suffer the brunt, but a country that also imports toothpicks, we could suffer a lot. And now Yeah, we have been importing. I don't know if they are started to make them locally, but for a long time we've been importing toothpicks. In fact, there was a time we were importing eggs. I don't know from where, something like that. I don't know. Our
I
chickens
think.
went on strike. The food that our chickens eat, chicken feed, the components are also imported. So as much as if we find ourselves in a situation whereby a number of ships have to take the longer route, yes, the entire world will be affected. But those with a very weak manufacturing base like ours will take a very huge brunt, especially if you're
Yeah.
talking of petroleum tankers. And this is something we can
So
take
when did
care
this
of.
happen? I hadn't heard about it. That aspect of the Houthis
Hmm.
in is it Yemen that are
Yeah, in Yemen,
shooting
yeah, Yemen, they have been
the Yemen
attacking ships.
ships?
Yeah.
When did this
So
begin?
some the ships need to divert because no ship will go where there's
Right.
danger. So
Right. To-
yes,
So they happen to take a longer route, of course.
yes, they have to take a loan. That means fuel expense will be pushed down to the final consumer. But then again, yes, I repeat, yes, it will have a global effect. But those countries like ours that are extremely dependent on imports will will suffer more. And
Mm.
since we seem to operate without any form of backup or anything, uh, we operate on those guys who are at the top. Those are okay. They are willing to pay anything for. They have vast quantity, huge reserves of money. Of course, these are people who will go to Intercontinental and pay 700 shillings for half a cup of tea. So for them, no problem. You are already paying 700 shillings for tea. So things like those really. But when you look at the bulk of the republic, who's supposedly they're supposed to be under their welfare, it seems like there's no plan somewhere. I've so far I've not heard of anything actionable, and I don't think anything can be done right now because we are so deep into import. But then again, this is something we've repeated so many times. It will take a very small, like dollar dependence. If they give like some sort of a policy or a law that any heavy commercial truck that is covering more than 300 kilometers should be loaded on a train, on a wagon, automatically, whenever once that thing is passed, you'll see the dollar weakening, specifically the petrol dollar, because the importers are already overseeing, they're already prophesizing a drop in fuel consumption by the trucks. I recently traveled from Western Kenya to Nairobi at night. So many trucks on the road. Imagine putting all those trucks on a railway on a flatbed from Kisumu to Nairobi. How much fuel are we saving? Of course, they'll pay something to the train, but the consumption of the train is more efficient compared to a truck which goes starting, stopping, starting. A train which has a more steady movement will consume less. And then we look at issues like the wear and tear components of a truck are purchased in dollars. Those springs, bushes, filters are imported in dollars. So whoever is in charge of importing those spare components will predict a drop because the mileage covered by the vehicles has taken like a 80% drop. Because if from Busia to Nairobi is 465, Kisumu to Nairobi is 350. So from Busia, a truck that is moving from Busia to Nairobi will only cover 100 kilometers to Kisumu for loading. So that drop in actual vehicle movement converts to a drop in wear and tear, which converts to a drop in service cost of these vehicles. Yeah.
No, I
So,
agree.
yeah,
And it would probably, it's just being smart. I mean, you
yeah,
also mentioned that idea of even converting some of the trucks into hybrids.
Yes.
I mean,
We are looking at
and
35% drop in diesel
fuel,
consumption. Yes.
diesel consumption.
Mm.
And they also say that of much of the carbon emissions that we do, the big bulk of it is
Mm.
generated by trucks. So just
Yeah.
imagine that marginal change and how transformative that is. So it's making very smart changes, doable in the shorter term, that have very huge gains. Because, I mean, instituting that policy is quite immediate. And it's even cheaper transporting by rail. It's cheaper, it's safer. You are guaranteed that that item, on the road, there are all manner of elements. There's a number of accidents, there's traffic jam, there's all this. But on a rail track, you're guaranteed it will hit its destination. Now it's only for the truck now to come in to do the last mile.
And when you
So
operate with
total
the truck on train
efficiency.
system, you are
Mm,
combining the train with the last mile. The train gets on the destination, and the truck drives off
gets
the
off.
train to the final.
Yeah,
So two birds in one stone.
exactly. So it's like no longer having to load it on a container and then
No, the
getting the
truck just
truck.
drives off. I think I
Yep.
shared a picture some time back. I
Yeah, I
don't
remember.
know.
I remember that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, it's
I don't know if
man.
I can
Every
I
time we
can
discuss
pull
this,
one back. I
it
can
sounds
pull.
so. Yeah, please pull it up and then we'll share it. It
Hmm.
sounds so easy, and it is easy, but I guess it becomes murkier with some of those. What did we call them? Misaligned incentives that you have in government, because there are probably so many interests there that they are managing that many of
Yeah,
them are
I
definitely in the
check your
interest
WhatsApp.
of the
I
city.
think if you check your
Get
WhatsApp.
it? Yep. Let me blow it up. You have a better one. Let me
Huh?
see. You have a better. This one is a very small image.
Okay, let me just. This one is from.
I'll share it, but it's
Hold on. I send you another one. This one is a
okay.
bit more clear. Just check this one. This one looks a bit clearer. If you can check it.
Better. Let me open it up. Yep, this is better.
Uh huh.
Yeah, let me put it. Mustafa Sharif here is saying maybe you can read that as I bring it up.
Yeah.
Sorry. What am I doing? So just load up the track on the rail and then it gets to get off with its
Yeah.
load.
Once you get to the destination, yeah, that's like that. Once you get to the destination, the locomotive detaches. There's a ramp that is placed on top. They'll just move out in series to the actual place, to the last mile. So one, of course, whatever they'll pay to the train service will be less than whatever they pay for fuel. Two, driver fatigue is gone, so accidents minimized. Wear and tear of the vehicles. Remember, as I said, the service components are imported in dollars. The moment such a plan is laid out, the dollar will take a very huge hit.
Yeah, actually just the sentiment of it,
Hmm.
because part of it is, I think there's already an artificial demand already created.
Yes,
Some of it is real, but I think, of course, particularly people who are in the trade of forex, banks and others,
it's speculation
end up
driven.
exactly
Hmm.
speculation. That's the term. It's
Hmm.
speculation driven. So there are people, of course, trading with that. There are people making money out of the exchange of the dollar to Kenya shillings,
So the
and
moment,
I mean, and it's no longer. It's not just hitting the shilling. I was actually doing a conversion of Kenya shillings to Rwanda francs.
hmm,
And I remember just about 2 or so years, not even too long ago, about 2 years back, actually, it could be a little over a year or so back, the Kenya shillings to the Rwanda francs was trading around 9 shillings. Now it's gone all the way to 8.1. And I was talking to my agent who was helping me do the conversion, telling me it's likely to even go down to as low as 7. So the value of the shilling within the EA community has really depreciated so much. It's no longer having that prestigious level it used to be. Having some Kenya shillings was, you could ball around. Now there's no balling.
So
Mhm.
now, see this one, the moment you start talking, the shilling gains. The moment the ramps are built, by the time Kenya Railways announces we've just received 30 trucks to flag off our first train, you may go up to we may find out going back to 155. Then when they say we have now set up 2 trains or 3, and you have a choice. If you want the express service using SGR, which is faster, you have 3 trains. If you want the slower service on the MGR, you have 4 trains. Then you have the MGR connection Nairobi to Kisumu or even Malaba. There's a railway line to Malaba that will connect you to trucks which are going across the border. We will go back to 140. I'm not a specialist in economy, but I think if a truck traveling from Mombasa to Kigali, the driver can climb onto a ramp of a train and sleep from Mombasa to Nairobi, then transfer Nairobi to Malaba while he's asleep, that expenditure, that drop in fuel, the actual drop in fuel diesel volume expenditure, and other trucks going to Nakuru, Kisumu, and all, it only need, I think, a week, and we'll go back to 130. And then once we go back to
Very
130, that effect will now trickle down to factories which normally import goods through trucks. The trucks are also on the train. They're arriving on time. They are using less fuel. That upsurge in the way the manufacturing is going to get boosted. Not even building new industries. The current existing ones will it's I think we'll go back to even 100 shillings sharp. Only on the
very easily.
petrodollar
Yeah,
management.
yeah, that's true.
Without
And can you
without I don't
this
know this
sounds easy to implement? Because
yeah,
nothing else, you're not building anything. It's just a
yeah,
policy decision to
yeah, it's a
now
policy decision.
that's it.
Yeah,
And now the
just for
long
you.
term, you have to begin to spur
Mm,
local manufacturing. So
mm,
you do it as a two-pronged thing. Do what you can be able to achieve in the shorter run, which has got very high transformative effect. And
mm.
then the longer term effect is build up your manufacturing capacity.
In fact, that one now provides a very good platform for electric trucks because they are moving short distances. It's moving from
Exactly.
the port from
I
the
mean,
port to the railroad area, which is 20 kilometers away. Then maybe it's going to Nakuru. It's going to be carried by train to Nakuru. Then we'll move from
yeah,
that train to the factory, maybe another 15 kilometers.
yes.
So that now provides opportunity for electric trucks to come into play. You are not moving long distances. Within a short time, you find yourself at 80 shillings to the dollar. 80 shillings, you can clock it. Our headache is just the petrodollar. Fortunately, we have only one problem: petrodollar. You take care of it, we are done, and we take care of it through policies.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Policies, things like when you are setting up a building, a commercial building, you will get the number of rates your building will go through will go down as per your usage of things like solar panels and whatnot. So our energy, we are not tapping so much into our energy network. So
Exactly. And we have sun all year round. All year
mm,
round. Can you imagine how much local resources that we are not using? And I heard the other day that we now have some of these special they found a hole that we've got some of these special minerals used in manufacturing cell phones. So I think our biggest challenge is not a lack of resources, it's how to
Haitatusaidia
manage.
hiyo. That is not going to help us with the kind of people we are. Don't expect any. See, oil was discovered in Turkana so how many years ago? It's still the same
Oil,
thing.
a big water aquifer into. I mean, Turkana as it is, it's said to be a desert. That
Yeah,
should be thriving with farms.
that's a very huge solar. It is called solar thermal power plants. They are there in Spain. Spain has them, and Spain is a desert.
And we can import the initial batch, but then eventually look to manufacture our own. Even
Yeah.
if it is to use our own technology, let's
Mm.
use it, a knowledge and transfer mechanism. So before we know it, we give ourselves 10 to 15 or 25 years a generation, and
Mm.
boom, we'll become a
We'll be-
manufacturer with our own brands, with our own tech, with our own. We've put even R&D into it, so we've continually improved the product, man.
And then
I think this
that means
start paying.
we'll find ourselves at 15 shillings to the dollar. Yeah. Because we won't be requiring that dollar anymore. So
Man.
you had hinted about having another engagement some time back. We can
Yes,
request
because we
our
started.
viewers bear with
Yeah,
us as we close 10 minutes to our normal time. I want to give a shout out to Tato. In fact, I was wondering what is worldwide net. That's Tato, Sharif Mustafa, Asante Sana, or Eva Lone Wolf. There was a gentleman who was here before. There's
there's a
some
Daniel.
Daniel.
Guy.
Thank you very much for showing up. We appreciate your presence. And Andrew, can I say adios?
Adios. See ya.
Adios. See ya.